how much money you'll need for the winter DLC, which we don't even have a name yet at the time of recording this, but we already know a few things that will be coming. We know this DLC will be pretty big, but pretty standard for average day GTA Online DLCs. But most importantly, Yusef is returning, the OG character, my favorite character, one of my favorites of all time.
We're getting Arab money. We're getting Arab money. Ho!
So I've gathered a list of all past DLC costs and looking at what is going to be included in this next DLC. And I've done the math so you guys don't have to. So let's start off with the upfront cost to get into this DLC. Now we know this is going to be like the Import Export Part 2 DLC we never got. One of my favorite DLCs of all time. And this time Yusef is returning and we are going to be getting a new business called Red's Auto Shop. This is going to be kind of like a new vehicle warehouse, but for this DLC, which we work with Yusef. And this is going to be luxurious car import lot. So we're going to be going out stealing vehicles, bringing them back to these businesses, upgrading these vehicles, selling them to other buyers, and keeping them for ourselves and doing missions from this auto shop. Now the last DLC, we had a straight up fee before we got into DLC of $1,450,000 to get started. Now this being a whole new business, not just an add-on for the Avenger, this is a whole new business. So I think we have to go back and look at the actual import-export warehouse cost, and the minimum cost you have to pay for that is $1,500,000, but it can go up to $2,500,000. So there's a big range here. So I'm just going to say $1,500,000 minimum to buy this warehouse. So that is going to be a salvage yard we can purchase. And that is where we have our upfront cost. Now, you know, there's going to be some upgrades on there. So let's add on another $200,000 for the upgrades. Or actually make it $300,000 because that makes it more even with Import Export DLC. And keep in mind, this is 2016, so it might be even way more expensive than I'm saying in this video. So now we are at $1,800,000. Now with this business, we're going to be able to source vehicles, rob these vehicles in special missions Yusef and his cousin gives us. And I do think there's going to be upfront costs to buy the vehicles, but obviously you will be getting a profit when you sell those. So we will leave those out for now, but just know you will probably have to pay upfront to rob these or customize them before you actually go on to make a profit. Keep a little more extra money than you think you have to. Now onto the vehicles, probably what most of us care about, the vehicles. So in last DLC, it was actually smaller than usual. We only got 20 new vehicles total. Now about half of them were sports supercars, and this DLC is going to be a luxurious import-export DLC. So I will be expecting the same, with at least half or more being in the sports car class or supercar class. And then the other half being just the random ones like a tow truck maybe, or some other slow off-road vehicles or whatever it may be. So let's have 10 being higher class vehicles and the other 10 being just your average standard NPC vehicles really. Now in the last DLC, they averaged $1,500,000 for each vehicle. Now some of the supercar vehicles were in the upper $2 million range, but including the vehicles at the bottom, they were down to $500,000, which is really cheap. So we are going to put an average of $1,500,000 on 20 vehicles. Because in order to keep this as accurate as possible, we do see in the screenshots, we have some new drift vehicles, we have some new supercar vehicles, some new bikes. So these are going to be pretty expensive, but some of them probably also not that more expensive. Now just adding on to the vehicle customization, we're all going to put this in one category here. Vehicle customization is going to be crazy. So in order to upgrade each vehicle, really, it's going to cost at least $300,000 for each vehicle. So if we average $300,000 for each vehicle customization, that would be $6 million. Yeah, it adds up really fast. And averaging $150,000 per new vehicle at 20 vehicles, that is $30 million. Now it might be lower, it might be even higher, but if we are looking at the most accurate numbers, this is what to expect. New jets, new supercar vehicles, every single vehicle in the game. that is added in this new DLC should be around $30 million total. Now, we are not going to be spending that much, but if you want to buy everything possible, that is how much you have to spend. So for about 20 vehicles with upgrades, it will cost you a total of $36 million. So now for the total price, we are up to $37,500,000. And now one of the new features being added to current gen consoles is the ability to manage and organize your vehicle collections throughout different garages in the interaction menu. So we will probably be getting a new garage, including a new 100 vehicle garage confirmed right here on the Rockstar Games website. So that is going to be expensive. Let's add on $3 million to the total just for that one garage alone. Maybe even more for customization options. We're going to have to see how crazy it is. Now we are up to $40,500,000. Now we're past all the biggest things that is probably going to take up most of your money, but actually not most, because we have to get on to clothing. Clothing is so overpriced these days in GTA Online. You see $500 just for one single outfit, and multiply that by 20. That is how much clothes add up in GTA Online updates. But we know all the outfits aren't going to be costing that much. I would say let's put an average on $50,000 for 20 outfits. So that will give us some room for, maybe let's say if they add 50 outfits, some may be less expensive, some may be more expensive. But let's average $50,000 on 30 items. So that gives us a lot of room for moving around. Maybe if they add more clothes, and most of them are under $500,000, or if they add less clothes, but more of them are above $50,000. So averaging 50,000 with 30, even though there's going to be a lot more clothing, I bet. That gives us $1,500,000. And look at that. It brings us to a nice, even $42 million for the whole DLC so far. Now let's add some weapons on top of that. Usually we get about one new weapon, maybe two if you're lucky, and there is going to be a new weapon coming. We have seen this from people who know what is coming inside of this next DLC, and there is going to be at least one weapon. And weapons these days are really expensive too, so let's add on $1 more million on top of that. And what else do we have? We have the warehouse, we have the vehicles, we have everything, all the customization options. And that is what I think is going to be the total. We sorted out all the averages, we got all the vehicles. We know this is going to be more of a luxurious vehicle DLC. So be expecting some expensive vehicles. Be expecting the property to have a pretty high upfront cost. And again, this is not confirmed. We never know exactly what is coming. But looking from the past DLCs onto what we are expecting in this next DLC, $43 million is what you're going to need to buy every single thing in this DLC. For day one, I would say about $25 million is what you need to buy everything on day one. Of course, you're not going to buy every single thing on day one, but $25 million on day one is what you're going to need if you want to buy every single thing. But just for getting in this DLC alone, I don't expect it to be way too overpriced. I think a good $1,500,000 all the way to $2 million for just buying the salvage yard up front is all you're going to really need to start this whole DLC. We saw in the last DLC it was more affordable than ever to just get started in it. This DLC I'm thinking is going to be the same way. Because really we're in the ending days of GTA Online. There's still one or two more big updates coming to GTA Online, but we're starting to get near the end of it. So they don't really need to put big prices up front because most people probably have a lot of money who actively want to play these DLCs day one, and the other people probably don't care about the DLC. So really, they don't really have a reason to make it too over expensive now, like how stuff was back in 2020 when the casino penthouse costed $5 million. So I think this is a really good estimate I made here. So if you guys want to see everything, I will be spending $43 million when this DLC does come out. So subscribe to see that, and I'll see you guys in that DLC.
Now I've got to attend to some business. Ladies, prepare to suffer.